Since my first film, I've used both professionals and non-professionals, and also people who'd never faced the camera or never even thought of facing the camera. When I write my scenario, I have each character I can sort of visualize, and I look for people, for faces, which conform to my visual conception of an actor. And if I find a professional who fits the part, I take a professional. If not, then I start looking around for amateur actors or non-actors, even people just whom I meet on a tram or a bus on the street. There's a belief that all children are natural actors, which they're not. I had great trouble with a boy in Pather Panchali. He was very shy, and I had to use all my patience, my persuasion. I treat them as adults. I sort of take them into my confidence and whisper instructions to them. And I find that after maybe the first day or the second day onwards, they're very obedient and they do what I ask them to do. That's my method with children, and there are various other methods which I have to use with various other actors. It's never a set method with any actor. I've kept it sort of flexible. I get to know the person, and then I use a certain method which I think will work best in terms of that.
When people saw Pather Panchali for the first time, some of the critics mentioned the mystical quality in the film, that everything that lives is holy. That's a mystical belief, you see. So my emphasis on nature, on insects, on butterflies, this and that, was taken as a sign of maybe there is a streak. I have never been very conscious. I have never thought about it myself, whether I'm a mystic or not. But these things appeal to me. And certainly when I was adapting Vibhuti Bhushan Banerjee's novel, he was a mystic. He believed in that. And I was so convinced by his novels, by his stories, that I wanted to convey his beliefs through the film to the public. And so that element crept into the film. Not to repeat myself, if possible. Because when I started, I made a film about a village, then I made a film about an old aristocrat and music. Music Room was that. And then I made a comedy about Philosopher's Stone is that. And then I went back to the trilogy, continued the story of Oppo. Then I went back in time to the 19th century. Then I came back, started making contemporary films, alternating with 19th century stories like that. But I like not to repeat myself, because there are so many genres that one wants to do. One just wants to find out how it works.
Smoothly. When we are shooting in a studio, the shots are taken more or less as they're planned, because you're limited in terms of the set and angles.
বিচিত্র জীবী সাপ একটু কাছে নিতে হবে এখানে আমাদের সাপকে জোড়া চলে যায় আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে ফাইন ঠিক আছে ফাইন টেকিং কাম অন ওকে ফর সাউন্ড
On location, you are always improvising, finding new angles, making sort of last-minute decisions which affect the original shooting script, the shooting scheme, shall we say. So in a way, it's more exciting on location, because you are being more inventive in a sense. It's the critics who've done it. They've analyzed the themes of my films, and they've arrived at the conclusion that my main theme seems to be the conflict between the old India and the new India. And maybe they're right, because it's there. I mean, I can't deny it. It's there. I have never written any music which can be clearly identified as either folk or classical or Indian or Western, because the films have a look, generally, which are not wholly Indian, even if it's a modern story laid in Calcutta. There are all sorts of things which have very Western connotations. It's so Western that you have to devise a kind of combination thing, you see. It can't be either wholly Indian or wholly Western. So it's music.
It certainly is, one has to give more thought to the mise en scène. Being a play, being confined to indoors, and being concerned with people talking to each other much of the time. I think I have managed to solve that. Why can't you have interesting words? Why can't you make people listen to words? Why shouldn't they? I have seen plays by, well, Little Foxes is an example, William Wyler, which is 12 angry men in one room. I had 4 or 5 rooms in one large public meeting place, but 12 angry men is just one room. It's because the words are so interesting, the characters are so interesting, the development is so interesting that it holds your interest. What more do you need? I mean, it's cinematic already. It's plastic. You see, the human face is plastic. It's plastic. You photograph it that way. I believe so. I have believed that ever since I saw some of the plays, some of the films made from plays, by really successful films made from plays. I have believed that with first-rate acting and first-class dialogue, you can achieve this. And tension between the characters. That's all you need. But you make the kind of films, I make the kind of films that I want to make. I make the kind of films that I enjoy making, that engages my attention, my creativity. That's all I can do.
It's been largely gone into my films, this question of political involvement. If it's an international question of great import, I've taken part in demonstrations and even made speeches. Only maybe on an average once a year, because the rest of all my time taken up with either shooting a film or planning the next one. I feel very, very strongly that my main business is to make films. Of course, one reacts to all the elements of poverty in the city and all the distress around you, but you keep feeling that as an artist what you have to do is perhaps make a film about them which will bring them into the consciousness of a large section of public, make them feel about this distress or this state of affairs. But that is all I can do as a filmmaker. State certain things through the film and try to make the audience, the people, think and be conscious about them. I have never proposed solutions to problems because I think it's beyond my powers to do so. But as an artist, I think it is within my powers to present certain aspects as faithfully and honestly as possible so that it's brought to the consciousness of the thinking man.